Time now for us to bring you up to speed with the front pages and the stories making the headlines across some of the dailies this morning. We start things off with a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper for today, Monday, April 15, 2024. And these are the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust. From the top, consumers decry low supply as discos prioritize Band A. You're still in Band C?
Yeah, I think at this point I'm in Band E because we barely get to the power supply.
My thoughts and prayers are with you at this point. I'm getting so much electricity lately that it's making me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, you'd pay millions for it. You need to cut off your fingers.
Yeah, but it also costs so much, really. We're yet to see Naira gain. Food prices still high, and that to me is another head scratcher. The Naira is doing really well. Yesterday, reports are saying that people are buying as low as 950 Naira to the dollar in some of the black markets in the country. Even at the official window, it's still doing considerably well. So why does it still cost rather significantly? I was telling you earlier about the Consumer Protection Commission saying that Nigerians should report all the arbitrary pricing practices in the country. But I think the government really needs to step up. If any time the dollar gains 1 Naira on the local currency, we see an immediate impact in pricing. However, the Naira has been on a steady rise for the past 2 weeks. But for the most part, I know some goods have, shifted grounds a little bit, but for the most part, we're not seeing any shift. So that is that. Abducted Zamfara Varsity students, NYSC members, others rescued. We uncovered more fraud in humanitarian ministry, according to the EFCC. Says probe of past suspended officials yielded 32.7 billion Naira and $445,000 recovery. Investigating abuse of COVID-19 funds as well as World Bank loan. 19 killed in Oyo Ogbomosho road crash. Quite a disturbing development there. Sad. 21 Chibok girls returned with 34 children. 48 parents die of trauma. You talk about the cost of this devastating incident that happened 10 years ago. This is just a summary of it. DSS arrests El-Rufai's ally, Aisha, over Facebook post against Governor Sani. If she's solely been arrested for sharing her opinions about the performance of the current governor, I think that's just ridiculous.
It's a shame on democracy.
Yeah, because people have a right to their opinions, especially if there's no harm as far as what the Constitution identifies as free speech. US, EU, others warn Iran-Israel conflict could destabilize Middle East. Oil price may hit $90 a barrel. Some reports are that it has already hit $91 a barrel. Iran summons UK, French, German envoys over their stance. More on this on page 4. And you have the picture there at the center of the United Nations Security Council holding a meeting on the situation in the Middle East, including Iran's recent attack on Israel.
Honestly, I don't think the stance should just be civilians, when it comes to this country. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that unravels and hope they put a stop to it. All right, let's take a look at the front page of the Guardian newspaper. The major story is saying sticky prices, poor control upset consumers despite stronger Naira. I mean, same thing we've been echoing all through the show. You find that on page 6.
You know that expression? Now man, they do man.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening in this country.
In Nigeria, exactly.
It's like, we find a perfect excuse to jack up prices, but we don't have a perfect excuse to bring them down.
It's really sad, Abdul. At the end of the day, it seems people definitely have to be held accountable. Like, they need to treat us as though we are some kind of animals before we listen, before we think. No matter what, as a business owner, there is no loss. You're definitely gaining something. But then when you say you want to take advantage of something happening at a particular time in order for you to be rich, guess what? You'll not be rich. That money will definitely not be blessed because you're extorting people.
It's also a task for the regulatory authorities to do the needful.
It seems
go to those supermarkets, go to those stalls, go to the markets, make sure that there is fair pricing for these goods and services that people are providing, so that people are not taking advantage of.
Abdullah, you remember when there was merging of agencies, and then we were saying that there are a lot of agencies that we are not even aware of. So if all of these things is happening, I mean, Nigerians should definitely be held accountable. There should be agencies going through. There shouldn't be a complaint line saying, no, Nigerians should come and complain. You people should go and do your job in the first place.
For instance, to charge 1,000 naira on a bottle of soda. Okay? Nobody should be allowed to do that. There should be a fair pricing for a can of soda everywhere you go in Nigeria. It doesn't have to be the same, because perhaps because of the cost of transportation and things like that, it might be a different price from Lagos to Kano to Zamfara to Katsina and Sokoto State. But there should be a parameter that allows for fair pricing. But what we're seeing is outright extortion, people taking advantage of the system, people gaming the system so that they can, make this unhealthy profit.
And this whole thing is echoed in every aspect. I remember when there was, fuel scarcity and all of that, where the attendants there will literally ask you or demand, if you want some preference, then you have to pay them something. And it's general. When there was naira scarcity, the POS were jacking up prices. You go to the banks, you have to literally fold some money and put. I mean, corruption has eaten deep. And most times I used to say, when you're pointing a finger, just realize that the other finger is pointing right back at you. That's what is wrong with Nigerians. We keep blaming other people.
Not when you're doing like this.
I can't believe this. That's not pointing. Literally.
That is pointing.
No, when you're putting all fingers towards someone. Okay. That's just you begging. That's called begging. All right, let's move on from that major story. You'll find the details of that on page 6. There is a pictorial, or more of a map, tension in Middle East as conflict escalates amidst the concerns for global market. I mean, it's really disheartening, Abdul, that we see situations like this happening, and the first thing that comes to us is global markets, not the lives that will be lost.
But even the impact on the economy itself is going to affect life. There's a human cost on it, whichever way you look at it. You understand? Whichever way you look at it, there's a human cost on this. And this, military operations in that particular area is going to destabilize Europe, is going to destabilize Africa, is going to destabilize the markets. The uncertainty as a result of this itself is not good as far as the outlook is concerned. Yes, the business concern there that has been put out as one of the major issues is germane. However, the human cost as far as lives, as you did point out, is equally important. And that is what, we need to focus on right now to de-escalate the situation. And I don't know if there's enough motivation across board for de-escalation. It feels like
so. People are out fueling it, yes.
Yeah. And for the life of me, I don't know why.
People are fueling it. I mean, at the end of the day, there are still some people that will benefit. They are called warlords, but then it's really disheartening that you have to, push people to kill themselves in order for you to gain something from it. All right, we'll move on from that tension. APC chief decries alleged funding of party by Tinubu and governors. I don't know what really that entails, but you would have to pick The Guardian and page 4. Ekiti PDP berates Oyebanji over 110 fresh appointees.
And listen, I think there's a very big issue politically. Whenever there's an election around, it's always one of those political cultures where it's a rather dysfunctional one, and for most Nigerians, our politicians are not playing the game according to the rules. They are always bending the rules to their favor and taking advantage of a weak system that still needs to be corrected, still needs to be improved, still needs to be reformed significantly. And that is not what we're seeing for the most part recently. But in other news, Nigeria witnesses over 4,000 cyber attacks daily, ranks 5th on global index. And that is something of a bit of a concern, especially if we consider the effects that it will have on the lives of Nigerians. Concerns over abduction of men for marathon sexual anal sex in Lagos. Yeah, don't know how they had to put it there, but yeah, it's so funny. It's way up.
It is funny.
This you can find on the Metro page of the Guardian newspaper. You know, this is one of the turn-offs for me in Lagos, that the depravity there is on a different scale.
And I feel it's because the law it's not implemented when it comes to, you know, holding the people accountable when it comes to this. I mean, we saw the battle of the bill that was passed saying if anybody is even found doing any kind of activities on social media of same sex, you know, and all of that would be punished with about 7 years. But then, how many people have been, you know, have served that? How many people? And
I think
this thing keeps growing.
Are still lax when it comes to
exactly. This thing keeps growing. So when people see people on social media, you know, doing exact thing that the Constitution is saying, you know, you have to pay for, and we've seen how you know, that community is growing in Nigeria. You see,
especially with social media, the cross-dressing phenomenon has been normalized to a point where even the conversations we're having online it's normal, engendering it.
The police came.
There's also been this acceptance that this is now part of our society, and I think it's signposting this decaying moral value system.
It always starts
where
like that.
We're just accepting it. I mean, I've seen that with the Yahoo Boy phenomenon, where we're celebrating some of them, and now this depravity is
and even defend them. We've seen Nigerians defend them, saying, "Oh, go after politicians, leave the Yahoo Boys." And I'm like,
defending that, because there's always going to be a community that stands for this thing, but accepting it, even people that you normally don't, you know, accept or tolerate things like this are now accepting and welcoming of it. That to me is, you know, a bad omen.
So definitely this tends to push it. And I remember where I think the police in Lagos State Police Command made on their X handle saying cross-dressing is not a crime, you know, things like that. So there are a lot of things that when people see that it's been ignored, then definitely this would cause people to feel comfortable doing more of this. But yeah, we hope people are held accountable when it comes to that. I mean, there is still more on the Guardian newspaper, where Nigerian witnesses over 4,000 cyber attacks on the daily, ranks 5th on global index. Now that's what Abdullah was talking about, saying the Yahoo is something that has been really influenced, and people are saying, oh, it's okay, after all, people are poor, so it's okay for you to steal from other people. Over 17 million Nigerians currently food insecure. I mean, the faces food insecurity, says firm. I mean, that's known. Wrong timing, misplaced priority for new electricity tariff. Indeed. And the 21 Chibok girls returned with 34 kids, reports fines. These are the stories that you'd find on The Guardian and even more. All right, quickly, let's move to the Vanguard.
All right, let's just take a quick breeze through the front page of the Vanguard newspaper for today. Breach of contract. Shell sues Venture Global in U.S. court. Tariff hike. TCN discos bicker over failing 20 hours supply. And there's a whole breakdown of the various perspectives to this one. Oba Akiolu visits Tinubu. Is the president not back in Abuja? Is it not?
I don't think so.
Okay, still enjoying his quiet
this
time.
Week, yeah.
The ever, of course, city Lagos boy that the president is. But of course, he can run the show as long as he's still in the country or anywhere else. But we'd love to have him back in the federal capital anytime from now, even though he's not a pleasure to have on traffic.
Yeah.
But in other news, there's also the latest on the Chibok. U.S. renews commitment to Nigeria's anti-terrorism efforts as we mark the 10th anniversary of the abduction of the Chibok girls. Power shift, Tinubu's factor PDP in make or mar neck meeting this week. Those with integrity solidify. Oh, okay. Solidly.
Behind me, yeah.
That's you're looking at it from a
that's according to Fubara.
That's according to Fubara, as he enjoys the support of former Governor Peter Odili, who recently announced him as the political leader of River State. And listen, we're heading in towards round 2, and it looks like all the gloves are off. And it's Wike versus Fubara round 2. More on that on the pages of the Vanguard newspaper for today. You can also find a lot more on the Okwama killings on the pages of the Vanguard newspaper.
Yeah, where people are saying allow entrapped residents access to their homeland. The EU Kingdom begs Tinubu Army and Delta State government. I would have to wait and see how that unravels. Let's not forget, you know, soldiers died, about 17, and we saw how their family, you know, bid them farewell. So while we're also appealing for the people, we also need to help the federal government and the army to make sure the perpetrators of the heinous act, get that closure, and then people definitely pay for what they did. All right, and with that, we have come to the end of today's show. We hope that, of course, you were educated, informed, and entertained with today's show. Appreciate you. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Do have a lovely day.
Did you notice how when the show came to an end, she's smiling? But at the beginning, she wasn't smiling. But anyway, thank you so much for your time and company. Daybreak returns tomorrow, live and exclusive as always on Trust TV. For now, stick around. At the top of the hour, Adeni Ajishafi will be joining you for today's edition of 360 Sports. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Good morning.